written by George R.R. Martin. I think he said, you know, this was the most challenging and expensive episode they've made for the 2 seasons. But he's talked about some of his favourite scenes in it, and one of them, amongst all the battles, amongst all the carnage, is where you and Bronn basically face off in a brothel.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't, I don't think that was in the book, was it? I think they just wanted to see what happened, you know, what happened when Bronn and the Hound met. I'm reading the script going, that, thank God, there's a bit of nudity for once. I was so tired from, we were working in Dubrovnik, and I was working all day in the riot scenes, and then I had to fly over at night and then straight onto that scene, and I remember I was absolutely raging, going, this will affect my performance. There's a really nice bottle of whiskey in my trailer. Okay. I do. And there was a bit of tension with Jerome and myself out in Dubrovnik. It was a bit of a standoff. Big swimming competitions lasted 30, 40 lengths kind of thing. I was doing okay with my tumble turns, but he's a fitter man. And the idea was to do a big swimathon this year, but we never hooked up. But yeah, that scene was quite good. I was tired, but I think it came across fine. Don't know.
Well, it kind of, when the bell starts ringing, we don't really get to see how that battle might have turned out. But I mean,
yeah.
George Martin himself has said, you know, it's always fun to speculate about these sort of things.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Hound is the most famous swordsman in the land, essentially, and Bronn is a sellsword. Did you have any ideas about how that might go down? Who might be the winner in that battle?
I think Bronn's quite fast. The Hound's a bit of a so I don't know. I mean, I didn't know he had his hand behind his back. That's an old Glasgow trick, that. Everyone with their hands behind the back. They're just killing them.
I think maybe you could see on the big screen here that the weather wasn't exactly great during the Battle of Blackwater. There was pounding rain. Yeah. And I imagine that HBO spent a lot of money to create massive amounts of rain, because they were filming in Northern Ireland, and that's usually very
the rain machines were there, but there was no need for them. It was relentless, and there was rivers that weren't meant to be rivers, and there was a lot of people there. The extras, I mean, hat off to them. They were just it was, I think that lasted 2 or 3 weeks. And there were these poor guys as they were lying in rivers and pools and blood pouring down. You all got better with them, because in between takes, it wasn't, oh, let's run back to it. There was no trailers or you might get a blanket, but most of the time it was like, if there was a fire going, everybody would huddle around fires. That was just survival mode. And it sucked the life out of you on, you know, night shift kind of thing. And the camera crew were soaked, everybody got soaked, there was just no way out of it. But you remember, even you would have a pint with them afterwards going, I bet it'll work. Armour and rain, it looks good, and you probably thought it looked good. I mean, it's just got a nice light, and you know, it's probably the desired thing. I think they would want it rain anyway, but it worked out fine. I mean, the set nearly washed away in some places. It was unbelievable.
And in terms of the fight scenes, you seem like a guy who knows how to handle himself, and I think you chopped someone in half at one point. That's
why I didn't watch this year. I kind of wanted to watch it. But I'm going out afterwards, and you know, it could just get nastier. It's actually the only episodes that I've fully watched on TV. I don't have Sky, and I don't. Every time I get a DVD, one of my friends steals it. So I'm just waiting for a heavy cold, and I'll sort it out.
And are your friends always coming up to you and saying, you need to tell us what happens next, what's going to happen to the Hound?
No, to be honest, the people I hang around with aren't really, they don't have Sky either.
There's obviously a huge fan base for the books and the TV show.
Yeah.
When did you start to realise that the Hound in particular was a character that people were interested in and wanted to know more?
When suddenly I'm walking down the street, instead of going and hearing, it's the Corey Jones. I've been in queues waiting for something for a coffee, and then some guys turned around, did a double take, going, Jesus Christ. And I was going through the Outer Hebrides just a couple of months ago, and I was just driving this shitty car, and I picked up a couple of pictures. And it was in the middle of nowhere, and driving along, and they were all got this rucksacks there, posh students kind of thing. And they eventually went, what do you do? I went, oh, I do bits and bobs, do a bit of acting, sort of. Oh, and I said, Game of Thrones. Oh, what are you on? And I said, Game of Thrones. And they couldn't believe it. They were like, oh my God, you're that fucking we're getting off here. We're trying to look in the mirror and go, So I'm now getting hassled for the house.
When people want to have their picture taken with you, does it present a certain framing challenge to the person who's trying to take a picture?
Yeah, it's just like my career. That's why I kind of do big films where I can sort of fit in, rather than TVs where they're digging a trench and putting the steps for the actress beside me or the actor beside me.
And there's a lot of Scottish actors involved in Game of Thrones. I'm thinking of James Cosmo,
Yeah.
Richard Madden, Ian Glenn, but quite often they seem to be in other parts of the world. I mean, when you're involved in such a massive production like this, do you get a chance to see those guys?
It's really, I see them, but it's really frustrating because you want to, when you're going in to do the job, you're la 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 going in the job, they've just finished a big job and they're going la 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 la. Straight to the rooms, it's all this kind of, you're parting, I'm not, I'm working, and so there's not enough of that.
So not a chance to...
I mean, the Jimmy Cosmo, for example, I mean, he's a hero. I think you did a little piece with him last week where you were showing films and interviewing him. I mean, he's an actual hero of mine. I saw him on probably Highlander the first time, and then Braveheart. And I'm just frustrated that I haven't done any sort of pieces with him. I mean, I've walked on the plane a couple of times going, I can't believe I'm walking on Jimmy Cosmo. It's cool. And then, the guy who plays Pod, Danny Portman, he said the other day to me, oh, isn't it great how Jimmy, when he gives you a big bear hug, he just squeezes the life out of you. I haven't got a cold. We live in a boat. I'll squeeze him back.
So was James Cosmo inspirational to you in terms of film? He's
any big guy, in a way. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just looking at some big guys going, well, I could maybe do that. And my first introduction was an extra in Willow, of all things. I mean, that was years ago, and I was just dossing it, and no money, found a £20 note, had to stay another couple of weeks dossing in caves in Clanberis, Wales. Suddenly I came across a film set, and they were looking for, they only needed 2 more people. There were to be drunks and tall. I went, I'm 6'6", I'm from Glasgow. I got the job. I played Pat Roach, and he's another big guy, and he was an inspiration. So all these big guys that I think there's maybe hope, like Liam Neeson or something like that.
Yeah, I thought there was maybe some Liam Neeson in some of the Hounds. Lions in Blackwater, I could imagine a sense of menace.
Yeah, maybe
coming from Liam as well. The books, everyone loves the books. When did you first experience George R.R. Martin? Was it something that you'd read before the prospect of being in a TV show came up? Or?
No, I hadn't read. I hadn't heard. I can't remember how. I think I just got the call and went from audition, grabbed the book and read it. I think I had a bit of time, and that was it. And I met George out in Scotland the first time by Doon Castle. That was our first. That was the first go of it, first episode. That was going to be. That was, I can't remember the castle, what it's called in Game of Thrones. But yeah, I met him there with my book. It was twice the size. He went, "What the fuck have you done to my book?" I'm like, "George, this is how you're meant to read the book. Out in the rain, out in the woods. Don't smell the smoke." So he signed it and gave it to me. To Rory, my hound. Keep her out.
I think you bought that book.
Well, I have got that book actually. You're quite like this.
I mean, those books look big anyway, but this one looks, you know, even bigger somehow.
And I've still got, I've highlighted all my words and stuff. Still smells of bonfires.
And he's inscribed.
He's inscribed on it, yeah. And guess what? I'm going to give it to one of you guys. So, well look, one man's tat is another man's treasure, and I need to declutter. So, I am going to, can we do this now?
Yeah, well, we're going to have a joust.
Yeah, we'll do that. So, trial by combat.
The fairest way to do it. I mean, this is an absolutely unique item, and the only fair way, I think, to choose who would get it would be to literally choose the person at random. So
yeah,
we have.
I had an idea. I've got. This is a seating plan here. I'm going to just close my eyes, and if it comes up your seat and you don't want it, give it to the person next to you. Just close my eyes, and this is crazy.
And the seat number is between your, look down at your crotch and you'll see. You might use that the person at the end of your row, you're